Shrine Coordinate Warp, or SCW, is the closest thing Breath of the Wild has to a ROM warp. Each shrine has an elevator that's used to access the interior of that shrine. It's possible to store the cutscene of the elevator being activated by performing a fall damage cancel against the wall and getting out of that shrine. Each elevator also has an unload radius. If you stay in that unload radius and look back at the shrine or activate a text box, the cutscene of entering the elevator will play and Link will be put in the shrine of the elevator that was activated, as you would assume. But if you go into another shrine's elevator entry radius without the first one unloading, the cutscene will play of Link entering the elevator he activated, but he will be put in the shrine he's closest to. This glitch completely transforms speedruns where you complete shrines. One of the cases of this was Meadow. This is the shrine where Link has to be naked on a platform while a blood moon occurs. The entire routing had to revolve around making a cycle to activate the shrine. Instead, runners store the elevator of Katakar and activate the cutscene once in the entry radius of Midroki. SCWs allow for many things to be skipped. For a while, Meadow and Vonnevours were required. The Vu Loda Shrine quest required Meadow to be completed in order to start. The quest consists of running around Rito village and bringing 4 Rito siblings to Warbler's Nest. Once they are there, Link must use a Korok leaf to play the right notes to raise the shrine. The Rokuzenzo shrine needs Naboris to be beaten, since the Sand Seal race cannot be done before that. Once it's completed, Link is granted an orb to raise the shrine out of the ground. Combined, both of these take well over 30 minutes to perform. Luckily, SCW shaved off a lot of this time. The Burrito Nog and Vu Loda shrine elevators overlap. By activating the Burrito Nog elevator and picking up a new item near Vu Loda, Link will be put in Vu Loda, skipping Meadow in the shrine quest. Rokuzenzo is a bit trickier. The closest shrine is Dako Chise, and that elevator does not overlap with the Rokuzenzo elevator. While it may seem like the shrine's radiuses overlap, these are just the unload radiuses. While the unload radius of Rokuzenzo is 528 meters, the entry radius is only 100. If you try to SCW from Dako Chise to Rokuzenzo, the elevator will unload once you leave the 64 meter unload radius of Dako Chise. This is where buffering comes into play. The game checks if the elevator should still be loaded, and once Link is out of the 64 meter unload radius, the game unloads it. By buffering frame by frame until close enough to Rokuzenzo, the game never has enough time to check for if the elevator should be unloaded, so it stays loaded. This skips sneaking into Gerudo Town, Iga Clan Hideout, Naboris, and the Sand Seal race. SCWs are very hard though. Performing an unbuffered one requires a lot of practice to get. Buffered ones are even more difficult. If you are 1 frame off on your buffering, the elevator will unload. This deterred a lot of people from learning all shrines or categories with DLC shrines. Buffered SCWs were theorized to skip the camera as well. Aya and Shoka Totone both required the camera room. Going to Impa, lighting the blue flame, and talking to Pura took multiple minutes in the run. Kaya needed you to take a picture of 3 fragments of a monument for an NPC to put them back together to decipher the message on it. Shoka Totone required taking pictures of 3 different types of guardians for a guardian-obsessed NPC. Getting the camera and taking all these pictures wasted a lot of time in the run. Being able to skip the camera would surely save multiple minutes. Both of these shrines required a buffered SCW. Kaya was thought to be a hard buffered SCW because it's hard to wind bomb with the wind blowing, but you can just shield surf instead, so that one ended up being not too bad. On the other hand, Shoka Totone was not as easy. You had to first store the elevator of Kao Makog and wind bomb high enough to make it above the mountain. Then you had to buffer all the way to the shrine. For reference, the Rokuzenzo SCW had multiple minutes of buffering and had to buffer around 300 meters. Shoka Totone is almost double that. This SCW was only performed by a few people and was done in runs by even less. Let's discuss different elevator radiuses for a moment. Default shrine elevators unload at 64 meters. These are the ones that you can just stumble upon while exploring the world. The next set of shrines unload at 528 meters. These include any shrines that need to come out of the ground, the 3 Dragon Spring shrines, the Korok Forest Quest shrines, and Keira. Final set of shrines unload at 1,500 meters, which are the DLC shrines. These are very nice because many shrines can fall under this 1,500 meters. Earlier I mentioned skipping the Blood Moon quest at Midroki by activating the elevator at Katakar. The distance between these 2 shrines is over 1,000 meters. Katakar would be assumed to have the 64 meter unload radius. It is able to go all the way to Midroki without buffering. Crazy enough, Katakar's radius is 1,500 meters, like the DLC shrines. Somehow, the elevator unload radius is linked to the unload radius of the ice that surrounds the shrine. What's even weirder is that this is the only shrine that has the same unload radius as the DLC shrines. At least that's what we thought. While the popular speedrunner Limpcube was doing an all shrines runeless challenge, He had to reach the Korsh Ohu Shrine, which is a 7 heroine shrine. Each heroine had a metal ball that must be placed that can only be moved using magnesis. There was no other way to do the puzzle runeless, so doing an SCW was the last resort. The issue was that Katakar's unload radius stopped just short of Korsh Ohu's entry radius. His thought process was that if he talked to a Korra quick enough, the text would be so short that Katakar would never have time to unload. And he was correct. Katakar actually does not unload no matter how far. The 1500 meter unload with Katakar is only for activating a text and not having the elevator unload during the text. Anywhere past there, the elevator stays loaded until a text box is up for too long. This is the Infinity SCW. We can now SCW to any shrine on the map from Katakar. Unfortunately, this is not entirely great. While we can SCW to any shrine, the elevator can still unload when trying to activate the text box. The quickest text boxes in the game are Korok text, signs, and campfires. Even with perfect mashing, the elevator can still randomly unload when interacting with these. Some buffered SCWs were erased, but at the cost of RNG. Well, at least for like a day. Introducing Instant Text Box Glitch. When Link picks up a new item, the game displays a text box saying what the item is and giving a small description. When you have a Choo Choo Jelly and shoot it with an elemental arrow, the jelly changes to that element. There's a single frame where the arrow hits and the Choo Choo Jelly has not changed yet. By having an arrow ready to fire and pausing, we can make it so the arrow shoots once we close the menu. By closing the menu and quickly pressing A to pick up the Choo Choo Jelly, we get a quick text box. The Choo Choo Jelly that was on the ground was picked up on the same frame the arrow was hit and changed the element. This actually duplicated the Choo Choo Jelly since we have the original one in the menu and the one of the elemental arrow on the ground. This text box is brought up and instantly gone without pressing any buttons. This makes it so the elevators can never have time to unload. How has this affected all shrines though? There are 3 shrines that now have Infinity SCW, also known as iSCW. One of them is Keirama. This shrine has a decently long shrine quest and a cutscene, so an iSCW saves a nice bit of time here. The entire Wasteland and Gerudo regions have been rerouted so that iSCW to Rokuzenzo saves time. The buffered SCW is faster than warping and doing iSCW, but the reroute makes it so they don't need that extra warp. The final shrine that this is done at is Shoka Tatone. This makes camera skip completely viable for runs. There's no more need to buffer for minutes at a time. iSCW has truly changed all shrines in the best way possible. Breath of the Wild is becoming more and more broken with all these new discoveries recently. If you don't mind, check out my Twitch channel where you can see some of these live. Thank you for watching. See ya.